the budget was read on Thursday. There are lots of things in there. Philip, I want to know what you think of it, even before we get into the conversation.
Well, I followed the budget though. I think this budget basically considering the elements, the direction, the approach of the budget. It was designed to cure specific challenges that the economy is faced with. You know, number one, I think there was a deliberate attempt by the government itself as a machinery to show some basically way of some austerity. I mean, showing that, okay, we ourselves, look, we acknowledge the situation we find ourselves. And they spoke about cutting of salaries of all government appointees by 50% this time. So it was 30, now they've added 20 extra to 50%. And also they looked at some other elements, a tax handle that was designed to sort of increase the revenue, at least so that there'll be enough to manage the situation we found ourselves. Mainly because also the intention by the government is not necessarily really about doing extra borrowing. So you've got to see how best domestically you can raise a lot of revenue.
Right,
So
50% reduction, what impact would that make? Do you think it would even make any?
Well, I think so far we've not been told exactly the figures involved.
Right.
But if we all complain that the machinery of the state is too heavy in terms of the appointees and the workload that we see, we all complain that the financing of this machinery is too heavy. If you hear that there is some reduction, particularly talking about the salaries of these appointees, to talking about even their fuel, the cars, and even this year I'm told that there will not be anything like hampers and all those things. I mean, it's just
No
basically
Christmas.
Yes, because if well, what are we talking about?
Right.
Sometimes I have a personal theory. I have a difficulty, and it's not like a personal theory. It's a theory that is well founded, and it's actually propounded by a lot of management theorists. The point is that some people believe that is about reducing the size, and then also trying to by reducing the size, then reduce cost. And in what you do in terms of administration. The others also who feel that, look, yes, you can probably strategically, may not necessarily be reducing the size, but focused in areas that you find or you find necessary, and then appoint more people into those areas so that with the skill sets that they have, they can improve their productivity in those areas. Because at the end of the day, then you expand what you get, what you're expecting. These are theories.
Right.
So sometimes it's not always the situation where people say, oh, okay, and we want to see the government, 3-4 ministers going off. It may be necessary, but it may also, I have not done the analysis in detail, but in my opinion, the blanket approach where people just come up to say, reduce the size, that's not necessary. And when we always try to compare to other countries, it's not true. Those countries that may have maybe 30 ministers, 20 ministers, go and check the appointed professionals behind and the charges to the states in those countries. You cannot, I'm telling you, you go to the US, go to the UK, the professionals behind and the charges to the state are very high.
Right.
So sometimes, not necessarily, we may not be able to hire those professionals. They may come in the form of appointees of a government, but they still have to support the system. I have gone to some deputy ministers, and I have seen the kind of work they do. I am not saying that it's always the point that you always have to increase. No. I am saying that it depends on the one who is in charge. Look, I am not in charge of this country.
Right.
I cannot be absolute. But from the face of it, if the government itself realizes that, look, well, the way things are going, maybe the best is not necessarily reducing numbers, but reducing the cost. I think it's also another approach. Then also other tax measures that have been introduced. And the 2.5, look, I am in industry. I'm managing a company. So as I sit here, definitely, I feel
You
it.
feel it, right?
Yes, so these are measures that I think maybe probably we can look at further.
Right, opening.
But I understand the budget is still being assessed in Parliament.